All right, we're gonna go with it. Is it purely contrast based, or like her eyes?
It must look for her face and then like the shoulder shape.
It has some very, very loose, like, edge tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Whoa, it just zoomed in automatically on me. I didn't even do that. Well, I am like the Overlord. What the heck?
No, what? How do you did a thing?
Did it gesture me?
There's got to
This
be
looks
like,
so dumb right now.
We're totally streaming too.
This looks so dumb.
like, no, you did something and
Oh, it did it again. I didn't even move. My hands were
that?
down. It wasn't hand based.
My
hands were on the table when that did it. I don't know.
hand check. This is funny.
All right, I'm ready when you guys are. All right. What's up, Internet? You are listening to the Making Geeks Podcast, a podcast for makers, families, and geeks. Evening, gentlemen. How you doing?
Hello.
Good evening.
I'm really digging this background, even though Skype's like edge tracking technology is trash. It's kind of fun.
If only they were funded by a multi-billion-dollar company, you think?
I know. Just, small company. What can you expect?
Man, they're going to go somewhere someday.
I just really love how Wes looks like the Overlord.
Yeah, especially when it zooms in on his face, which we can't replicate again.
And for our audio listeners, I really highly recommend going into YouTube and taking a look at the episode so you can kind of see the environment that we're in right now, because it's a little bit different. It's a little bit fun. We're recording in a different format tonight. So,
speaking of like capabilities of $1 billion company, do you guys follow Super Make Something on Instagram?
Yes.
And seeing all of the AR stuff that he's been doing lately, it has blown me away. He's just doing it for fun. Just like, yeah, I'm gonna take this painting and I don't even know the phrase for it, but like map his face to the painting so that everything moves like he's moving. And he just does it just because. It is amazing.
Yeah,
now that we talked about geeking out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, for anybody that isn't familiar with this channel, Alex from Super Make Something does a lot of cool stuff, and we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, so you might want to go back and listen to the episode too if you might have missed it. So, other than our early plug, what have you guys been up to this week? It's like Download is dancing with himself.
So I have a local maker group that I run here in North Carolina, and we had our first in-person meeting in over 18 months, which was pretty cool. We partnered with a local. They're kind of like a little makerspace, but they're focusing on like FIRST robotics kind of competition stuff. That used to be only a portion of what they did, but they've had to downsize a little bit over COVID. If you're in the area, they're called the Forge Initiative, and basically they let us use some of their facility basically to host a maker kind of get together. And so I just had a bunch of people, content creators and not, just people in the area that like to make things of all kinds. Just an excuse to finally get together. We used to stay afloat with our group sort of during COVID with online maker meetups every month. But we sort of, like most people, have gotten tired of those, and people seem to be willing to try to do it while we have masks on. So it's a little bit safer for some people. And yeah, we had like about 22 people, 20 or so, give or take. People turn out, which is cool. Nicole and Turi from When Geeks Craft showed up, and some other folks. So it was good to see them, and it was a good time. It's nice to have, human interaction again. It's slowly coming back. Hopefully it won't be the last time we have one for a while, but it was fun. It's good. How about you guys?
I've had a busy week working on customer orders. We're doing a series of birth announcements that are all Harry Potter themed, and they're all getting laser cut. And we're also doing what do I call the gender reveal thing. So we have like a bunch of other Harry Potter things, other Harry Potter items we're cutting out of paper, like masks and stuff and other things to use as pins. So a huge Harry Potter themed party for a birth announcement, and that's been going like all week. Luckily enough, it's cold enough here that we're able to run the glow forge during the normal hours of the day. So that's actually been pretty helpful right now. So it's been nothing but sanding and finishing and doing some other stuff too. So kind of in full production mode, but mainly just all laser cutting for right now. That's taking up a majority of our time.
Yeah. I finally released my latest video, which it's funny. The last time we talked about this, I didn't have the heart to put it up online because I was worried it wasn't going to perform well. And then Derek helped to get me motivated to put it up online. I put it up online, and I guess it's performed about as not well as I figured. So I'm on to my next project. I'm trying something new, which is a restoration video. I got an old gaming table that was part of like a flood and had like water damage, and the gaming table itself is like 60, 70 years old, something like that. And
now when you say gaming table, what does it mean exactly?
So it's got a checkerboard in the middle, and then like a border, like a slightly raised border, so you can like put stuff on each edge of the gaming table. But it was in really bad shape, and I wasn't going to make a video out of this. It's something I'm doing for a family member, but I figured, with how well my videos are performing lately, why not give it a try? And I'm not doing anything different to it. It's an actual quote unquote restoration video where I am restoring it with original pieces, all that other kind of stuff. I'm trying to mitigate the look of the water damage. I took everything apart. I've sanded it down. I've taken off the mold. I've gotten brass shiner. Is that what they call it? Brass stuff. So you can so I can clean all of the brass screws, because they're like flathead brass screws. If that gives you an indication how old this thing is. And cool. And so a lot of it was warped. I've sanded it and clamped it and re-glued it, and the checkerboard insert in the middle of it was all jacked up. So I've put that back together and have been sanding it and stuff like that, just trying to restore it as best I can to what it might have looked like originally. So that should be done within the next couple days, and the video for that be out. It's going to be a different video. Like, I'm not doing any like skits, no narrating, no nothing. It's just going to be a straight like YouTube-y restoration video, and we'll see how well it does.
Yeah, make sure you call it a furniture restoration. You call it like an original restoration. The comments probably won't be very nice, but you get a lot of eyes on it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And be sure to add some extra brass. I hear a lot of people like extra brass in their furniture.
Well, that is okay. That is one thing that I don't know what I'm gonna do, just because of like wood moving and having to re-put everything together. The checkerboard insert is about a 1/16 of an inch smaller than the original border inside the table. So I have no idea what kind of wood the table itself was made of, but the checkerboard was bordered with cedar, like aromatic red cedar, and then the checkerboard itself is maple and walnut. And so now that it's back together, the checkerboard, it looks really good. It looks almost new. It's amazing what, elbow grease can do to old wood. But that being said, just because of like warping and all of that other kind of stuff, I have a 16-inch edge around the checkerboard in between the checkerboard insert and the cedar, and I'm not sure what to do with that.
So it's a gap?
Yeah, it's a gap. And I thought about maybe putting like not veneer, because veneer is too thin, but like cutting a really thin piece of walnut.
Almost like an inlay, right?
Yeah, like an inlay. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Or I was thinking like doing epoxy and mixing like gold powder, because I have gold powder that I picked up at Workbenchcon a couple of years ago from one of the companies that was there, and doing the Kentsugi. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The Japanese.
It's Kentsugi. I forget the name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's used to like repair like broken.
Yeah, you repair stuff with gold inlay.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I thought about doing that too. I actually thought about like not fixing the checkerboard and doing the Kintsugi thing with all the cracks and stuff like that. But then I was like, nah, it look weird. But I'm trying to figure out what to do with that 16-inch border that's around the checkerboard, whether to do the gold Kintsugi. I'm probably saying it wrong. Kintsugi or whatever, or just doing like an inlay, like with a walnut, or maybe even a redwood or something, just something. But if I do that, is it really a restoration then? Because I added something to it. I don't know.
It's called Kentsugi.
Kintsugi. Okay.
I know I'm not saying it right, but Kintsugi. Because that was going to bug me. So.
Yep.
That sounds really cool, though. Have you guys ever heard of a carom board?
Nope.
So carom's I think it was meant for kids. I really don't know the entire history of it, but it'd be like a checkerboard in the middle, but there used to be these pieces you could hit like treat it almost like a pool table, and there'd be nets at the corners, and you could like skate them across, and they'd go in the nets, and it was kind of like a kid's version of a gaming table. And it just kind of reminded me of that, which I've had planned to do a video for a while. But the one that you're dealing with is a lot more high end.
Like old school Hungry Hippos or something?
No, because it was made out of wood, but it was like a kid's thing where you could play multiple games on this one platform.
Oh, okay. And I think I know what you're talking about.
It kind of reminded me of that, although it's not really the same class of furniture. But yeah, it sounds really cool. I can't wait to see it. Now, when you do the restoration, are you going to wear white gloves, like in some of those videos that you see?
No.
I mean, you have to like de-rust something too, isn't it? Like a requirement with a lot of the videos now.
Well, yeah. That's what the brass finisher. That's what the brass stuff is for.
Or powder coat something, or sandblast something. Yeah.
or yeah, that would have no.
You should sandblast the wood.
It'll be interesting to see how it does. It's so different that I don't know what's going to happen with it. Either it'll do really well, or it'll do as bad as all my other videos lately have been doing. So either way,
we'll see. You're going to confuse the hell out of the YouTube algorithm. It's not going to know what to do with your channel.
Yeah, I know. I don't think my audience knows what to do with my channel anymore. Just because stuff has seemed all over the place sometimes.
Well, as long as your audience is actually seeing your videos, 'cause I don't even know how often that stuff's being recommended anymore.
Yeah,
it doesn't work quite the same way as it did previously. I think it's a little bit different now.
Yeah, it's a struggle, but
yep. Trying to think about how to segue what we said we were going to start talking about for today.
I think you just did.
Where's my cricket sound effect?
I was purposely.
There's a cricket sound effect.
Staying quiet, wondering how long you guys will let it go. Anyway, so I'm excited about something because I just purchased my ticket for Workbenchcon.
Yeah.
And out of the three of us, I think I'm the only one that has not yet been. Correct?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah,
that is correct.
So Workbenchcon is taking place in February in Atlanta, I believe, right?
Yep.
Um,
February 26th, 7th, and 28th. Is that correct?
I think it's something like that later in the month, right?
Yeah, later in the month.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
We're kind of dropping the ball here.
Hey,
I'm excited because I've never been, and since Maker Faire isn't around anymore, and I'm not really even sure what other maker get-togethers are officially happening right now, other than the one that we had at Wes's house, which I think is the closest thing to a MakerCon that I'd been to in the last 2 years.
WestCon.
I know that this one is like really different though because of it being mainly for creators, right? It's not really open to the general public.
Content creators, yeah.
Well, it is open to the general public, but kind of like we mentioned before the show, the cost is so ridiculously high, which they do intentionally because they want to keep out like fanboys basically, and they want to make sure that everybody that goes to this goes to it with purpose and with intent, which is why the tickets are up to what, $600 now. It's so crazy.
Did they go up?
Since last year, or the last time they held it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they were still under 500 when I bought mine.
Yeah, but then they go up $100 every couple weeks until WorkbenchCon. They're trying to like inspire people to buy their tickets early, and there's only a limit to 500 this year. 600 people. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Is that less than before, or is that more than before?
No, it's more than before. The first year that I went, it was in a smaller venue, and there was only 400 people there. And the second and third time I went, I think there was 500, and it was in a larger venue too. So
is this the fourth one now?
I think the third one.
Well,
I'm not sure.
No, fourth one.
Fourth?
2017. No,
Okay.
2018 was their first. 2017, I think, was their first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So since I've never been, I've heard the stories from people, and I know that we're still pretty far off. We'll probably end up talking about it again, but I'm curious. What is something to? What should I expect first time going to WorkbenchCon? I have an idea of some things that are different, but how is it different from a usual maker event, other than it being primarily content creators?
When are you getting there? That would be my first question.
I'm going to try to get there. I'm going to try to fly out Thursday night if I could get that Friday off, because I want to go to the maker meetup hangout thing on Friday that's scheduled. I can't get out there earlier than that, unfortunately, right now.
Okay. Because that kind of, I think, just on my personal experience, I think that dictates a little bit like what to expect, because I always go a day early, which may seem a little ridiculous, but people are already there a day early. And a lot of WorkbenchCon doesn't happen at WorkbenchCon. It's the hotel lobby,
like most
it's
other
the
get-togethers,
restaurant.
I know.
Yeah, and people get there 1 or 2 days early, and so I try to get there early just to, for one, ease myself into being surrounded by so many people, and kind of, get over that anxiety of, talking to people.
Yeah, it's going to be especially weird because we're only going to see half their faces, presumably, too. I'm sure it's going to be masked. I'm sure it's going to be, yeah.
But yeah, if you can't, well, I know you can't because you have limitations with school and stuff like that. But for anybody listening, like, one of the things I do recommend for WorkbenchCon is get there a day early, just because it gives you a chance to like just to talk to people and to hang out, which in and of itself almost makes the entire trip worth it. It is such a community building experience going to this event and having so many people just hanging out and talking and growing together and listening to each other and telling stories, and oh gosh, it's fantastic. So that would be my first my first thing is get there early as you can.
That's always been the trouble. Anytime I go to any one of these conferences, that I'm usually have to fly in and fly out really quick just because of schedules and other responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I probably can't even fly out any earlier than Thursday night because of additional responsibilities too, for also related to work.
Yeah.
Guess we'll see what happens. Part of what we were, aside from Workbenchcon, but also related to Workbenchcon, part of what we wanted to talk about tonight is how the bar seems to be constantly changing for the business, and the barrier entry is kind of raising, right? Because we were talking about like in relation to what other people are doing, and even like in a video at Workbenchcon, where a lot of it is hosting possible sponsors. And what they're looking for is changing. Is that kind of like on par what we were talking about before?
Yeah, and it kind of relates too, because one of the things I did want to ask you is like, what is your purpose for going to Workbenchcon? I know this is your first year, so there's a lot you don't know what to expect, but like.
First and foremost, I was giving into peer pressure because Wes gave me an ultimatum last time. Said, "No, you're going next time." I said, "Okay, I'm going next time."
Yeah.
I'm probably not entirely going for the right reason, because I mean, I would love to meet with sponsors and see what else I can do with the channel, but I am first and foremost going just to hang out with all of you, which is a very, very kind of expensive meetup.
I was about to say.
But it's worth it.
I can kind of see that, but I think it is worth it. I mean, there's one aspect to it where it's, courting sponsors or whatever, and I don't really even like to play that game as it is, and I sort of tried to play it last time and didn't really have much success with it, to be honest. It could be part of my personality. It could be, I don't know what it was. The connections that I did make that I thought would lead to something didn't lead to anything, which I know is a common thing.
To be fair,
yeah,
it was also right before a pandemic. So
true.
That changed things a little bit.
That's true. But there were things that happened that were not around a sponsor that were kind of influential or had like a lasting impact that went further than the event itself, if that makes sense. Like there were a couple friendships that were like strengthened for me. I got to hang out with some other people that I had hung out with before, like Anthony from I Like to Make Stuff. I had hung out with him before, but there were interactions and things that happened there that were like cool stories that we always like reference now and stuff. And so
being stuck in a jail cell together.
Yeah, well, well, the story where he got roomed with Josh and anyways, it's a long story. I don't need to tell it again.
He talked about
yes,
it on the episode where we interviewed him, so
yes.
I recommend go back and listen to it because it's a fantastic episode.
I got to weld for the first time, which was cool. While there, and then Nicole and Turi, they ended up relocating because of events at Workbenchcon, which was kind of cool, from When Geeks Craft, the channel. They've also been on here as a guest, and they're actually in the live chat right now, which is kind of cool.
We're plugging our own content all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So you're telling me that anybody that goes to Workbenchcon is going to end up moving to North Carolina?
Anybody, yep, 100%.
Okay,
yep, exactly.
Got it.
Yep. It was just, like, I wanted it to be more, and I strived for it to be more than just a hangout, but realistically, that's what it ended up being. And that's not a negative for me. Like, I ended up carpooling down with two makers from the Raleigh area that I was already kind of close with, but then I became that much closer with them, and it's just a great time to have interactions. And they're similar to other meetups that we've done in the past, but because it is more like concentrated, there aren't as many like fanboy, like I said, there's not as many fanboy kind of interactions from just looky-loos or whatever that wanted to check out somebody that is their favorite YouTuber or what have you. Just a regular viewer on the street's not going to pony up that kind of money to get in there. And so that does keep some of the interactions more genuine. I guess. But yeah, different people get different stuff out of it. I ended up rooming with Wesley Treat, who we've had on the podcast as well, and I had interacted with him before a couple times, but that was also a good time to have kind of one-on-one time with him. It was really cool, and you just never really know the kinds of experiences that you'll have until you get down there, and you get to appreciate things that you didn't expect originally. So and you were definitely missed last time, to be honest. Like, people were asking, like, where's Sean? Like, here are these other members of the podcast, and
it's flattering hearing that.
And I'm not even blowing smoke at all. It was legit, and so it's kind of cool. It's sort of a reunion. It's going to be even crazier of one, I think, because of the pandemic, even though I'm sure it's going to have some impact on the event as a whole. I don't think we'll be maskless by then. I would like to think we would be, but I'm not holding my breath. But even still, I think.
Yeah, I think that kind of what you were saying with, at least on the deal part, I think I have similar experiences as you. Like, when I try to force something to happen or try to encourage something, for some reason, it just doesn't usually go my way.
Yeah.
But people approach me or email me on a fairly regular basis, and then those have actually, carried out and worked. And maybe it's just the nature of being in person with, if you're there representing a company, you're probably going to want to catch the biggest fish. I'm assuming the one that's going to have the biggest positive impact on the company. And I kind of already know that going in. I need to go back and look at the list of companies that are reported to be there, and then maybe make a list of 2 or 3 that I, are kind of like the ones that I would most likely like to work with, and maybe put my efforts into them and then see what happens. And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, oh well.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'd rather catch a more solid net in a smaller area than try to catch a wide net. And especially at this point in time with my channel and the things that I'm doing and my rate of production, I think I have to be a little bit pickier. I can't try to take on too much right now. So I think ultimately it's going to be just the networking and the connection and being around a bunch of cool people. And related to that, I mean, it seems like I know that in the space we don't usually like to talk about competition or like you're in competition with somebody else, but it seems like there is still a very challenging aspect that still is there and helps to kind of separate. Actually,
well, comparison, right? We don't like to talk about comparison. Competition, I think, is healthy sometimes, maybe.
Well, I think it gets talked about. The competition aspect doesn't happen or get encouraged at times because you could have, you can watch a viewer can watch multiple videos. So the competition thing there, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to stop talking for a moment.
No. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm completely losing my point that I thought I was going to make, but
because the train of thought was that the bar keeps getting raised. What works before for videos and for content in our space in the past isn't what's working right now, which I think we all can attest to. And so competition for eyes rather than like competition against other people. We're competing for the viewers instead of like
not really against each other is really kind of what I was intending to say, but really kind of fouling that up.
And honestly, I was gonna say the other thing that I remember getting out of this meetup before the last time we went was I actually got to spend more quality time with you, Donovan, because the previous time before that we were at Maker Faire together and it was just like a whirlwind of craziness.
Yeah.
There.
10,000 people just right there. Yeah.
So we got to do like the escape room together, which was cool, and then some other meals.
Got to play on your Nintendo.
That's right. Yeah, I brought my
projecting against people's like shirts. It was fantastic.
That's right. Yeah, and I had Caleb from Make Magazine do like a little live stream of me projecting video games onto people's shirts while they're playing them. It was very strange, but very cool. Yeah, like I say, you never know the interactions that you'll have, and it could be any sort of format of a get together that would work for that. And if people get extra like sponsor stuff out of it, you get like a little cool swag bag of crap you'll never get to use. You want to use after you leave, like a staple gun that breaks, or a pair of SketchUp socks, which actually are amazing. I love those socks. Just random swag that you would never expect. And like Alex from Raspberry Pi Foundation came out, and she was passing out Raspberry Pis to friends. And that's probably my favorite thing there is, and this is not exclusive to that event, but as you guys know, I like being kind of like a matchmaker or like an operator between people that I know that would improve each other's lives by knowing each other. So I like to be that thing that brings them together. And so I was able to do that a lot with Alex, because a lot of people that I knew that were into Raspberry Pis or wanted to be into Raspberry Pi, they didn't know that she was there. They didn't know who she was. And I'm like, hey, you need to talk to this person, because you guys would have like a nice kind of relationship, I guess, by knowing each other. That would be improved. So yeah, that's probably my favorite thing. I don't know how to really put that into words more than like a matchmaker or an operator, a switchboard operator for maker connections, I guess.
And kind of tying what you wanted to talk about, Sean, with like Workbenchcon, is the fact that we haven't mentioned it, but there are classes. Mm-hmm. The entire length of Workbenchcon, from people in the community teaching about different aspects of like the little things like video production and whatnot, to
that's true.
Finding sponsors, like how to make better videos, like all this other kind of stuff, which isn't so that we can compete with each other, but that we can learn from each other in a way that helps everyone grow.
Yeah.
Like last time at Workbenchcon, I think my favorite class besides my own was Anne
of All Trades.
Anne of All Trades.
Oh, yep, I knew it.
The $10,000 table, which
I think it was $20,000. Yeah.
Was it $20,000? The $20,000 table, I think, was the name of her. Was the name of her class. But there's so much that can be gained off of the experience of others that can help in your own content, and I think that's one of the great things about the classes. Although that said, I always take those classes with a grain of salt, because you're talking about a very select group of people who are outliers in this space, most of them. And so the things that work for them, for their situation, are not universal across everybody. And so I do take a lot of what is said in those classes with a grain of salt. But like Anne's last year, I still have the pictures on my phone of all of her slides, because it was so informative to what I needed at the moment. And it's great to be able to learn that from somebody that I am competing against for views, because we're in the same space. Not that we're making the same thing, but the audience that would watch something of hers or Wes's or is yours, and are the same people that I would want to also watch my videos. And so I guess one way to kind of help clear that bar that's always being raised is to make sure that you're always learning. It was just kind of hard being in a slight bubble, because we're very niche in our making, in geekdom and all this other kind of stuff. But that being said, like, just making sure that we're still learning is something something good that can come out of Workbenchcon, and also just making videos in general. Not to generalize it too much, but specific to Workbenchcon, it's something that can come out of it.
I was looking at the original topic that we were going to try to link tonight. We were talking about it, but I mean, the original question was why it's important for making to remain difficult or challenging. And I misspoke it earlier when I was trying to link it to Workbenchcon. Uh-huh. But I think that we're still kind of talking about the spirit of it, where there's that constant challenge there. And I think being at a place like Workbenchcon, I'm imagining, because I haven't been there yet, is kind of like a representation of that, because it seems like everybody is constantly doing more and constantly raising the bar, which means there is a constant challenge that people are trying to meet. And for people just getting started, it probably even appears to be, a little more difficult to get started. You have a constant influx of technical knowledge and new things coming out that people are trying to keep up with. I think it's a good thing because it's kind of pushing things forward instead of just having a constant influx of, like river tables or cutting boards, which, a lot of people do really well, do well with that stuff still. But it seems like there's a constant progression of what is possible within people's, personal shops even. And I think that's kind of interesting to look at, over the course of time.
So, like, say we're teaching our own class at Workbenchcon, and somebody brings up the question. It's like, what would you say to somebody that's starting right now? Kind of keeping with that same topic. Like, if somebody comes to you and says, I want to start, or I am starting a YouTube channel, like, what do you recommend? Like, what would you recommend for someone starting out in this space or in this industry?
Do it because you like making, not because you're looking to make money. You have to be, no matter what, you have to be passionate about making and creating. I remember I listened to somebody named Tim Ferriss. He's a podcaster. He's had a podcast for years and has one of the top ones as far as podcasts go. And a year or two ago, he had Adam Savage on as a guest. And Tim, who's the host, was basically asking Adam, I'm curious in making and starting to make. I want to know what I should make, what tools I need to start. And Adam Savage basically told him, get foam core and get an X-Acto knife. Cut shapes out, start putting them together, and basically start that way. Because if you're passionate about making, you kind of have to start somewhere. And, even though I said the thing about remain difficult or challenging, what I didn't think about before when I first wrote that question is that's still kind of like an individual thing. We all have things that are difficult to us and different things that are challenging to us. So I guess that's a different perspective in how to look at that idea too. It's just that there's, with, between CNCing, laser cutting, 3D printing, all the different technical aspects that have come into making, it seems a little bit more daunting for anybody first coming in. But, I guess your level of difficulty or challenge is kind of an individual pursuit.
Sure. I mean, you could be equipped with a rock and a Dremel tool and end up with a channel like Bobby Duke. I mean, there's no clear way to forge your path. Just realize that your path is unique, probably going to be unique to your own experience. And you don't necessarily have to have a shop full of crazy tools. What you lack in tools, you can make up for in like personality and uniqueness and like a sense of whimsy. And I think a lot of people go to his channel to be entertained more than learn something. Like, you definitely will learn different techniques and different ways to do things. But the ways that he presents his videos, especially more so now than his original ones, they're a lot sillier, and they're kind of out there just to kind of set him apart from other people to make him more memorable, and he'll intentionally call things.
He's a character now.
Yeah, he's like almost like a caricature of himself in a way. But I mean, that's what he's kind of leaned into because it makes him unique, right? So.
And I've actually avoided doing that or tried to.
Which seems to be the thing. I'm noticing that more and more, especially in the last several months.
It's been that way for the last couple of years, though.
Yeah, that weren't characters before have become characters.
Mm-hmm.
And their thumbnails are all starting to look alike. I'm like, what is happening? What is going? Yes. Exactly. And like, as much because I'm in the camp with you, Sean. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a silly caricature. But then I'm like, oh, his video got 400,000 views in 24 hours. That's great. I'm like, is this what I need to become?
But anytime you think there's a formula, there's always an example of a counter formula. I mean, Jimmy DiResta had videos that never showed himself talking for the longest time. He never even was like on the camera. It was just him doing the thing. No voiceover, no music. And, I mean, there's no perfect formula. If you try to copy somebody, there's always going to be a counter formula as to why you shouldn't do it that way. I mean, it's just, you just got to, like you say, you love what you're doing, love the interaction with the community that you build as you make the thing. Like, as you make it and put it up there, people are going to gravitate to the stuff you make, and you end up with, like, a following, and you'll just be like a cyclical kind of thing. You want to make it not just because you want to make it, but you want to see how people that have already showed interest in your stuff, how they'll interpret it and how they'll kind of provide feedback and improve your craft and constantly get better too. So
yeah, I think that's part of my intention with the topic of, things are constantly changing, and it has to remain that way for a purpose of progress. I know there's a lot of people that get frustrated with making, or just want the process to be easier, but I think that is kind of counterintuitive to a lot of the things that we do.
So do you feel like you are progressing and honing your talent and whatnot? I mean, since we're talking about it, do you feel like that's...
Yeah, except that I don't. It's not like a singular category thing, right? Because you have the video production, you have the making of the thing, you have being in front of the camera, you have a lot of different aspects of that. I don't think I've pushed forward my actual making skills in a while, at least. But I mean, it kind of depends on like what you're talking about too, in terms of making what. My woodworking skills I haven't pushed forward in a while, but my technical skills have gone up in terms of using these different machines and trying to be more creative in how I'm putting together these things. Because it's really easy. Yeah, it's really easy to find a design, put it on a material, and say, okay, cut, or do something like that. I find that kind of boring. I don't think that really represents what we do very well. So I'm trying to do different things with that stuff, and progress that way. Yeah,
I've definitely noticed an evolution with, I mean, just you and the stuff you make. Like, I think when we started the channel, you didn't have a 3D printer or a laser or a CNC, and since we've started doing the podcast, you've found a use for the things, you've acquired them, and some of them you've even had multiple of the thing, and then you're responsible for setting those things up at your work, which was never a thing before either. So it sort of all bleeds into the same.
Yeah. Now, I remember for the longest time saying, I wish I had a 3D printer. I wish I had a 3D printer.
Yep.
and then somebody gave me a CNC, and that kind of started the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah. That is another great thing about this community, is the fact that we help each other.
Definitely.
We're not tearing each other down.
And
like we actively want each other to succeed. I mean, I think, right? Yes.
Well, of course, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not just talking about the three of us, but like that is, if for people that haven't realized that about this community, getting together at an event like Workbenchcon, just that's one of the things that blew me away, is the fact that I never realized how good of friends I was with people I'd never met before. And I've never had that in any community or group or like whatever up until this point in my life. Yeah, and it was
exactly. Yeah. This podcast wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the interactions that happen, not necessarily at the event itself, but the tangential kind of things that happen. Like we went out to get pizza at a maker fair in California and started talking about podcasting stuff and all that. So it's, you never know what can spawn off of something that's seemingly more simple or more innocent, or even like you can't always plan the interactions that you're going to have until you have them, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, related to that note, like about competition and all that. So I was an athlete for a fairly young time, or fairly long period of time in my youth. And one of the things that made me kind of fall out of watching sports and following all of that had to do with this concept of, you have a single winner and a bunch of losers. And I kind of got tired of that. And I kind of like that, it's not about us doing better than everybody else, or there has to be like one winner, but the fact that we can kind of help each other and all succeed in a way. It isn't an either or scenario. And I always think that makes for a better community. And, like the two of you have more subscribers than I do. And, you have a lot of videos that do pretty well, even compared to a lot of mine. But it doesn't seem to really matter because I know that we're all improving and, getting better all the time.
Yeah.
Did I say something wrong? You guys had a weird reaction. Or it's like Wes grew again?
The video software that we're using is Skype, and it's got a new mode called Together Mode, which apparently scales and like transitions or transforms our individual webcam feeds. And I just grew like the Grinch's heart, 3 sizes bigger than it was previously.
Wes just leveled up.
Yes.
Yep.
And now I'm like an overlord. I have like little puppet strings so I can like marionette you guys. Yeah. If you're not watching the live stream on this, you're missing out because it's kind of entertaining. But
Thursdays, 8:30 Central on YouTube. Not to plug us again, but there you go. Plug. So have we talked about that? So actually no. Here we go. Therefore, what? Well, what are we gonna call to action? Is there a call to action for this? Is there something we're gonna?
For what specifically?
Well, it's since we're talking about like raising the bar and improving our talents and stuff like that. Is there something that we can challenge each other to do to help spur on that?
I think there was. I think Sean and we had one going. The challenge for me was to weld something by the end of the year, was it not?
Yes.
And yours was?
About getting part of the pinball table up and running.
Right.
At least the plunger and the flipper mechanisms.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this the cardboard one or the one with interchangeable
The one with
segments?
interchangeable parts, yeah.
Yeah.
So
how's that going?
Well, I think that when we made that arrangement, I believe Donovan, you had dropped out or weren't available that night, I think. Or something. I don't remember exactly. Or were you part of that conversation? I don't know.
No.
So you need to come up with
for
something.
reason.
What's the thing you're going to say that you're going to do by the end of this year that you haven't done before or that's been too daunting, or a tool or anything that we can sort of constantly...
Too
daunting or something that's been bugging you or...
Something you haven't gotten to for whatever reason.
Yeah, in the spirit of improving and growing. We have 3 months to not be good at the thing, but...
at least make progress towards it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think I'm realizing about my channel, and also from feedback from my wife, because she's noticed about my channel, is that I need to work on bigger projects. As fun for me as smaller projects are, like Borderlands cows or what have you, I tend to make trinkets, but not things that have like real value, if that makes sense. And so and it's been hard just because bigger projects are hard. I mean, and costs a lot of money. And so finding a way to still be able to add value. That is the one thing I think I've been struggling with is finding a way to add value with my content and with what I do, so that I'm not just making trinkets. And so finding a way to scale up and add value to my skills. Well, add value for other people by using my skills is something that I've been thinking a lot about with, and I guess struggling with a little bit because I'm still making smaller projects. I mean, my most recent video was, I guess, another example of that. But
well, in December, are you gonna lean back into the Makemas or whatever it was, like those
Geekmas?
Geekmas, yeah, they're smaller projects inherently too. So it's
I think those would be nice to scale, though. I mean, just maybe instead of like a smaller version of something, maybe doing a bigger version of something you would have already planned on doing.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Because it really is like a matter of scale. A spectacle tends to do well without having to be ridiculous. I think that you could possibly do that
without becoming a character myself. Yes.
Yeah. Like even like you did the like the shadow box one year with the like the laser cutout shapes. Imagine doing that almost like like real
Which
life
shadow
size.
box? I've done a couple. Oh, are you talking about the Advent calendar, the National Lampoon's Advent calendar?
I don't remember which one it was, but basically, something is lit from the inside. It was, I don't know if it was like a lantern or something like that.
Yeah, it was my
Make one
Advent
big enough for your yard.
Geekmas. That would be huge.
You get a piece
least-
of plywood and just cut the shapes out.
Yeah, at least price of plywood has gone down. It's no longer $70 a board. So that's
Make
good.
it out of pallet wood.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'll work on. Is that too broad?
It doesn't seem specific enough. I don't know.
It doesn't seem specific.
I mean, that's a general thing that I think we could all do is add value to our videos. I don't think that's
And
hard
add
enough.
value to the things that we're making, so the audience.
Yeah.
Because isn't the general idea that we inspire the audience to say, like, look, you could do this too, type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know that 99.99999% won't. But at least if they wanted to, I'm offering a way to show them how.
Mhm.
At least that's been the rationale in my own mind. Something specific though. I want to start in the Hobbit hole.
I think that when Wes asked you that question, that's the project that came to mind
Yeah.
for you.
Mm-hmm. That's got to
glow
be
epoxy.
it. Yeah, glow epoxy.
It's
I
funny,
love glow epoxy.
the idea of a hidden room came up recently with my daughter as well. It's kind of funny you said that. And as a kid, I always loved the sitcoms that always had some sort of secret entrance or room. I think Webster was one that had like in the back of the clock. Yeah.
I loved that.
I always wanted something like that as a kid,
loved
and
that, yeah.
I think I'm missing an opportunity now where I can have the capability of making something like that, and I have an area in the house that I could utilize to make something like that. And we know people that have done it and that have been quite successful at those things, and we definitely have the skill set to make them better than they did, to be honest.
I kind of agree.
Um,
Actually, not kind of. I agree.
all respect to theirs, building on the shoulders of giants kind of thing. But I think we could do something a little more niche in a way, more geeky, but have an extra cool factor, like the wall. Was it the Door of Doria or Wall of Doria or what is it called?
Reminds
The Doors of
Mario.
Durin.
Is that it? Where the moonlight shone? And
Yes. Okay,
Yeah,
so
there you
here's
go.
the question. So does Raspberry Pi have the capability of like understanding voice input
Yes.
and responding? What if? Oh, because I'm making the doors for the inside of the closet for
Right.
adults to go in. What if I had like a little thing where you push it and then you say
The phrase.
"Belloc," and then it'll open the doors? Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. Is it possible?
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
I mean, you could glow epoxy it, or you could embed like LEDs into the walls and have it where like the little shape, animates.
Oh man, the possibilities.
I could see that. That'd be awesome.
So yeah, thank you. I'm inspired now.
There's a big challenge. Jeez.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Wes, be ready to be on speed dial.
Let's go.
You should come down and help me.
Let's go.
All right. As confident as I am of my ability to motivate myself to do things has been lagging a lot lately. So having somebody here.
Yeah, as long as it's started before the end of the year, and it doesn't necessarily have to be finished, but the
Oh,
initial
yeah.
step can be the hardest one, right?
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I haven't even started mine.
I haven't started mine.
Yours is still on the box, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's doing a good job of holding that part of the house down. If I didn't have
Yeah.
it, who knows what would happen.
It's almost a furniture fixture now.
It is. It has like the layer of dust that Indy like blows away, like whenever he finds like an artifact. It totally has that.
You should make a video and actually do that
Yeah.
in the video. Like the wind chimes in the background as you blow.
Right. Swap it out. Swap out the thing that's resting on top of it with something else.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what you're looking for.
Yeah, I have it right there, but it's out of my reach. I don't want to get up out of frame. I have the 3D printed idol from Indiana Jones's what I was going to try to find for anybody that wasn't watching the live stream.
And we do have some people in the in our group that have said they wanted to learn how to solder. So maybe I can have that as something we can have for the community to offer. I know I've been saying it for a while, and there's a thing
Masterclass
on my project list that involves like a soldering kit sort of thing. So maybe I need to get to work on that too. So something for patrons to get in the mail that they can solder along with this like a class. I think that would be cool.
It would be. So what are you guys geeking out about this week?
I'm going to go first. Metroid Dread. For those of you that are not aware, Nintendo is releasing the first 2D Metroid game in 18 or 19 years-ish. And it's called Metroid Dread. It's for the Nintendo Switch. The early reviews have come out, and it's pretty good. I'm just going to say they've been pretty good. I got my son Grant is interested in it too. I showed him the little trailer for it, and it looks super creepy and weird and intense, and he's all about it. So he keeps talking to me about it every day. Every chance, in 2 days Metroid Dread comes out. Tomorrow Metroid Dread comes out. So I'm looking forward to that. I have it written down here so I wouldn't forget, but it comes out tomorrow. I'm going to run down to Target and pick a copy up, I think. And the last Metroidvania game that I played, was it Guacamelee was one, which I had a lot of fun with. If no one's ever heard of that or tried that, you should check it out. It's very silly but hilarious and very well done. And then there was another one called Shadow Complex, which was for the Xbox 360. Came out the same year that Batman Arkham Asylum came out, so it's been a while now with the Xbox 360, of course. But that game was phenomenal too. So if anybody likes Metroidvania style games, check those out, or check out Metroid Dread. I think you'll be pleased. Fingers crossed.
Cool. I am cautiously geeking out about something, which is the Mario movie that is going to be coming out next year. I know.
Wait, what? What?
Done by the same people that did the...
Don't look it up, Donna.
That wasn't fake?
Donna, don't look it up. Oh, did you see the cast announcements? Don't look it up.
I thought that was fake.
No.
I was gonna kind of talk about the cast announcement too. But
do it.
I'm excited about the movie. It's being done by the same people that did the Minions, which is Illuminate Studios. Their animation is gorgeous.
Illumination.
I am cautiously geeking out because of the voice cast, which I don't think is entirely bad, but a lot of people are really kind of talking down to it because you have Chris Pratt playing the voice of Mario, which I could only imagine the amount of voice processing that they're going to run to alter the voice, because I don't think there's
Jack
any
Black
way that
as Bowser.
Right. Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. So I guess Donkey Kong is a stoner now.
What?
I don't think there's any way that you don't do voice processing to do that. But the original guy that did Mario's voice is still around, so why not use the original voice? I don't.
He's
fully
going to be in the
understand.
movie in some regard because it had him.
I heard
credited.
it's going to be a cameo, but
yeah,
as a voice, I don't quite understand.
They're going to do some sort of like game to real life morphing traveling thing, where you go into the game. I'm sure. Like, there's
you
no
think
way...
they're going to do that?
I can't imagine.
Or is it going to be like a Sonic thing where it's like video game characters
in real life?
IRL?
Yeah, but Illumination Studios they do full CG movies, so I don't see them messing around otherwise.
That's true.
In a way, I don't want. I know, like, the original storyline is you basically have two Italian plumbers that get sucked into a pipe or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to open it that way, and if that's part of the reason why they're using Chris Pratt to begin with.
That's true. Yeah,
he's the voice of everything, though. Come on, like, there's going to be a point where they're going to hear Chris Pratt's voice playing a character, and nobody's going to know what movie it's from because he's been in so many. Oh my gosh.
I want Danny DeVito to do the voice of a Wario, though. I mean, if they ever add characters on, I think that one's fitting. But I mean, I would love to see a really colorful fleshed out world. I don't know enough about Mario lore to see if there actually is a set world, but I think doing some cool world building would be kind of cool.
The story has always been weird and like
Yes,
not very consistent and all over the place, and I don't know. I would have trouble generating an entire feature film length script off of the world that they've created. It's already a mess, I think, personally.
Did Illumination do the Lego movies?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I did like those. And
Yeah,
that was
those
Chris
are really
Pratt.
good. But I mean, it's kind of like a different class of movie though too, because those are like toys come to life, where this is supposed to be somewhat of a fleshed out world,
Or
and somehow
Despicable
integrating.
Me, Minions, and yeah.
Yeah.
I totally thought that was a joke. I did not take it seriously at all.
The movie was announced a while ago, but the voice cast was just recently announced.
Jeez.
You know what? I love geek properties, and I love seeing these things get a little bit more mainstream.
I'm sure I'm going to watch it either way.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
Of course.
I'm curious. I hope it's good, and
Me too.
we'll see.
You can't be any worse than the previous.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Hopefully they take a page from Wreck-It Ralph. Do something along that kind of line, because Bowser was in that.
I did like that.
Doing a good movie is definitely possible.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say another one really quick because I meant to say this one, but I forgot it. Free Guy. I saw Free Guy last week, even though it's not officially out in the States. I found a way
Yes, it is.
to watch
I saw it in the theaters.
but I saw it on streaming. I saw it on Disney Plus
Out. Yes.
via VPN
Gotcha.
into England. Anyways, I saw it. I don't think it was perfect, but it was entertaining.
Yeah.
And seeing video game movies or video game type movies almost being done right is kind of a cool thing, that they're finally figuring out how to handle their narrative aspect of those worlds. And hopefully that idea can also be applied to what they could possibly do with the Mario movie. So maybe not exactly, but just the fact that they're able to make some of it work.
Yeah. So I've one of my all-time favorite games, like definitely top 5, maybe top 3, if I thought about it, is a game called Journey, which was for the PS3. And it is one of the, I don't often play a game and then walk away from it being like, whoa. Like, that moment does not happen very often for me. But I still remember when I first played Journey and when I finished Journey, and that game was so good and so well done. And it's such a simple yet amazingly beautiful game that was done by a company called That Game Company, I think is what it was called. And shortly after that, they went out of business. And I was like, well, that's the end of another great company that made a great game, but then can't survive in the video game landscape, which could be a conversation in and of itself. But that said, I just found out and immediately downloaded a new game from that game company called Sky. And Sky partnered with the family estate for The Little Prince, and created a Journey version of The Little Prince, which is my all-time favorite book in the world. And so I have one of my all-time favorite games mixed with one of my all-time favorite books, and this game is gorgeous. It is an experience, and I am geeking out about it so hard. It's so good. So it's called Sky. Is there like a subtitle to it? Hold on. Sky, Children of Light. I think it's free on Xbox Live right now. So if you have a chance, get it. It is amazing. Can't hear you, Sean. You're muted.
I think I missed it. Is it a similar art style as Journey?
Yeah.
I love that art style. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I think it may be the same world, But yeah, exact same style and gameplay style and all of that, but mixed in with the world building of the Little Prince. So check it out, Sky Children of Light.
That's very cool.
You know what else you should check out? Now you're muted.
You know, you should check out the mute button. Yes. The other thing we should check out is patreon.com/makinggeeks. Our patrons are super awesome. They help us keep the show going and help enable us to do other things that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. We definitely want to thank them, including our top patrons, from the bottom of our hearts. We want to thank C3D Prop Shop for, his contribution. He does a lot for us. Also, Jordan Rimple, thank you, buddy, for your help. And Square Splinter. We appreciate you.
And if you'd like to make suggestions for the show, topics, ideas, you can do that on our website, makinggeeks.com. Right there on the contact page and on the homepage of the site, you can listen to all of our past episodes right there in your browser of choice. And don't forget that we have a shop with some themed Making Geeks merchandise. Make sure you check that out as well, makinggeeks.com.
And if you want to check out our content individually, see what we're working on, and taking the challenge up to come up with working on these new projects and new experiences and whatnot, like we've talked about tonight. If you want to see Wes do some welding, you can check him out at Geeksmithing. If you want to see Sean put together what will be an amazing pinball machine, you can check him out at Geek Builders. Or if you want to see my delve into the Hobbit hole, you can find me at Once Upon a Workbench.
And after just reviewing our Patreon details, I check it every week just to make sure my details are correct. I want to announce a new top patron. So it used to be Square Splinter. He has now been upset by Jordan Rimple. He is now the top patron.
He must listen to last week's episode.
So thank you so much for your patronage, sir. And it was nice having you aboard, Square Splinter, as the top patron.
Now unseat him.
And you can find new episodes of the show every Saturday morning on your favorite podcast player choice. I want to thank everybody in the live chat for joining us during our live stream. It always makes the show a lot more fun seeing the stream of comments go by and the reactions to whatever we're saying in real time. And of course, they all get to see our fabulous backgrounds that we have while we stream. So from all of us to all of you, have a fantastic week.
See you guys.
Not everybody.